Hello, everyone. Welcome back to a super special bonus episode of I Like Wrestling. I am your host, Rachel Polanski, out in Los Angeles, California, joined by my co-host, Matt Vogel in Burlington, Vermont. And today we have our very first guest, Luigi Primo. Welcome, Luigi. We love to ask our guests, and as our inaugural one, we would love to know, what do you like about wrestling?
I'm Luigi Primo, and I make the best pizza. Thank you for having me on, Rachel, to answer your question, why I like wrestling. There's so many things I could say. It's my body is a vessel for a pure wrestling and a pizza as well. So I think I would say the thing that I like most about wrestling is that I get to make a good pizza.
Amazing answer. And I know there are many opinions on what makes a quality pizza, but I actually want to go back a little bit in your own personal journey. Can you tell us about your Nonna's tomato sauce?
Yeah, so my Nonna's tomato sauce is the thing about a good tomato sauce if it's, maybe you just to make a quick meal and you cook it that afternoon, right? But if you have everyone over, you will simmer it for a week. That's what I learned about my Nonna's tomato sauce. So it's a very sacred thing to make a good tomato sauce. In fact, I think we had the last week-long sauce I had was for her funeral 25 years ago. But it was a very good sauce, and it brought us together, and her spirit was with us.
Oh, that's so beautiful to hear. My wife and I are gardeners. I was blessed to marry into an Italian family, and I have learned how to can and jar tomatoes from our garden with nothing but not even dipping it in the water, but wrapping it in towels and everything. So
does she have any brothers?
My wife?
Yeah.
She does. She does have a rugby playing brother.
What's the card game situation? Did they bring you into any of that?
Yes, I have. My wife actually brought me to meet her Nonna. The first week we were dating, we sat down to play Scopa together. And her 90-something-year-old Nonna was absolutely cheating in the game. And when I said, Gilda, I think you may have taken an extra card there, she goes, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to." And I later found out she's a notorious cheat. So yeah. I had no hope of winning, but I passed the test.
We have a card games in our DNA, and we have a striving to win out of them one way or another.
Well, I know you want to strive to win card games and also wrestling matches. Who are your wrestling heroes and inspirations? How did you get into this whole crazy pizza making wrestling thing business in the first place?
I would say I was initially inspired as a little child, like so many people of the big characters of wrestling, like Hulk Hogan, Bruno Sammartino, Macho Man Randy Savage, and of course, Roddy Piper, who was I hated him so much, and it wasn't until years later I learned by meeting him briefly one day what a kind of man he was, and how much he blessed this earth with his presence. But as a child, I reviled him, and so it's from these characters that I learned how much I wanted to affect the people with my performance and my art.
You absolutely have made an impression on the internet. You are sweeping the country. I think I just saw you on Fox News with a clip. You have a Reddit AMA coming up in a couple of days. I also want to make sure to plug that at Wrestle Rave in your warehouse, you are facing off against Charlie Haas, a former member of the world's greatest tag team, on November 12th in the Houston Premier Arena. You're getting around town. How are you staying sane with your schedule, having peaked in the last not peaked just begun to peak and just begun to get out there in the last week?
Right. So my career as a wrestler and as a pizza chef has built up to this point where my brain does not function like a normal person's brain. So I can't say that it's a sane or a not a sane. I think at this point it just kind of exists in a weird floating space. It's anchored by my emotions of anger.
I'm glad you can channel that productively into dough and beating your opponent. I hate to shift gears.
And also unproductively.
Good.
For punching my walls.
I might notice some of that in your background, but this next question might be a little sensitive. It's a little family nature, and I'm going to turn this over to my slightly more sensitive podcast co-host, Rachel, for this one.
Yep, I'm the more sensitive one, the one who's obsessed with horror movies, and I love blood matches and death matches, and he can't stand them. But we want to know. We want to know, are you so close with your son, Pastaman or Pastaman?
Oh yeah, that's a great question. So Pastaman, you know, it's tough when you have kids, especially when they're grown-ups, and he's just getting through college, and we had a couple of disagreements because he wasn't hanging out with this guy. I think his name was a Ryan or a Tony or something, but he'd go to his house and there was like a 6 of guys hanging out of there, and they would smoke oregano, and you know, I was just worried that he was having a bad influence, but I kind of needed to learn that, you know, if he wanted to put a spice on his spaghetti body to enhance his experience, that's really up to him. And I just have to let him make his own mistakes, because I've already told him what I can, and I need to trust him that he's no longer a pasta boy. He's a pasta man.
Right, he's sort of left the coop or flown the coop. He's made
Right.
it to the plate.
So now that he's getting it through college, assuming the last semester goes pretty good, you know, we get together for the holidays, and we see what his next steps going to be. Of course, he's a welcome at the restaurant anytime he needs to take, or you know, I could have shown him the business. There's a plenty of a growth in a pizza making and a wrestling.
I hope you'll be able to find that moment. College is a time to try on different identities, and you know, he might find rice, he might find other carbohydrates, but we hope he stays true to the roots and the values that you've infused into him. So
yeah, hopefully he won't go
stay strong. It sounds like you've provided him a good foundation.
It's all right. Yeah, I just, you know, if he was talking about a couscous, a one a day, and then a quinoa. There's a lot of different grains that he's trying out right now. But I think that he's got a good character, and that he's al dente as a younger man made of spaghetti, and that he's going to find his way, no problem. And he's going to keep himself dry so that no dogs eat him on the street.
Amazing advice from arguably dad of the year. Luigi, a lot of people recently got to know you through your appearance on AEW Wrestling. First of all, how are you doing after being kicked in the face by Ethan Page?
So pretty rough at first, you know, my jaw took a second, but I mean, I'm a wrestler, so I get kicked in the face a lot. So at this point, I know about how long it's going to take to heal. It took about a day, and then I was as good as new. And at this point, I'm just frustrated. He got the drop on me, and I'm hoping I get a chance to get it back at him. I saw, you know, Danhausen had the opportunity to fight him on a Rampage a few days ago, and that didn't go how he wanted. I don't know what is going on with the Danhausen, or just that night he wasn't in the zone. But either me or a Danhausen, I would have loved for one of us to teach Ethan Page a lesson.
The disrespect and how quickly he took to social media to eat oversized slices of pizza. There are ways to show respect in this business, handshakes, hot dogs, but the disrespect that he showed you, I was appalled. So you have our support on this podcast.
Thank you. Yes, I thought it was a very disrespectful how, while I was talking about how I'm a Luigi Primo, and he kicked me in the face. So because I was ready to say, I'm a Luigi Primo, I make a best of pizza, I'm a best wrestler, and I make a good pizza every day. I was at least willing to say that, but I only was able to say one part of it. And then he kicked me in my face. So I couldn't finish what I was saying, and I just told the people that I'm a Luigi Primo. But at least now they know that I'm a Luigi Primo and not a Mario Spaghetti or a Giuseppe Primavera or some other Italian sounding a name.
Of course, and wrestling is full of Italian-sounding names. I wonder, we don't have to go pro or con or who you're friends with or not, but I'd love to hear your thoughts on folks like Nunzio or the FBI or Santino Marella, and how Italian wrestlers, even Bruno Sammartino, of course, how they help you in your bringing your full identity as an Italian wrestling pizza chef to the ring?
Yeah, so I think Nunzio, it's funny you mentioned Nunzio. I am actually have recently been hired as the FBI's official pizza chef.
Oh,
And
Mazel Tov.
in fact, I will be tagging with a Nunzio in a Battlegrounds, Pennsylvania in December. And in our corner will be none other than Wildfire, Tommy or Rich. The only thing that would make it better is if Tracy Smothers could be in our corner with us. But unfortunately, he has passed. God bless Tracy Smothers, one of the originals of the FBI. Rest in peace. Great man. Nunzio is somebody that, not just as an Italian wrestler, but as somebody who wrestles in this very smash mouth kind of style. I have a lot of admiration for him, and I study his work because he is not afraid of anybody, no matter what. He went to Japan and they beat him. They beat him, but they couldn't defeat him, if that makes sense. They beat him very hard, but he just kept the fighting and would not back it down. So that comes up from my good respect for Nunzio, and also a legendary pizza wrestler as well. Back in ECW in the mid-late 90s, they would make a pizza. The FBI, they would make a pizza and the fans would chant, "Oh, where's my pizza?" But they didn't give them a pizza because you got to buy a pizza.
Classic bad guy move is to tease the audience with pizza and not deliver. But your thoughts on delivery?
Well, okay. But first of all, yes, it can be to tease the audience, but why would they just assume they get a free pizza? Like, why does someone think they say, give me a pizza? Like, if they come up to me and they like, hey, I want a pizza with the pepperoni. It's like, yes, I know I'm a pizza chef or I understand that, but I'm not just going to produce a pizza and I give it to you for free. That's insane to think I would do that.
Yeah, you're not a robot. You don't carry around, like, do you have one of those like hot carry bags that you carry around pizzas with you? Just to have spares.
Maybe I do, Rachel, but that's beside the point. It's about the principle.
No, I agree. No such thing as a free lunch.
What did you say? You were asking if I deliver? Well, we deliver sometimes, but mostly we do a dine-in and a takeout. Delivery is very rare at my restaurant.
Okay. No, and knowing that demand for pizza went through the roof during the pandemic, I'm sure you were incredibly busy on the pizza side of things. But I'd like to bring a question from the business world into this. One of my friends is also one of your fans, and he would like to know your opinions on Italy's strenuous quality controls for their specialty regional products, and if that, due to inflation, do you expect to see a larger jump in your cost of goods sold?
Yes, absolutely. We're going to see a jump due to cost of goods sold, and in a particular, we can look at olive oil. Because olive oil is one of those things that you can only increase the production of so much, because the process takes a time and it involves a seasonal product that then you have to essentially distill. So, we see often counterfeit olive oil. Mm-hmm. That's one of big things that was at the turn of the century. A mafia would import a counterfeit olive oil. So I'm thinking that's going to be what's going to be a bigger pain point with my inventory, is as we see the cost of olive oil increase. Yeah, your friend think he was going to get me, but he didn't, because I'm Luigi Primo.
Not Luigi Primo. Luigi, you mentioned your cost of goods sold. Do you want to give a quick shout out on where people can find your shirts, your merch, and more information about Luigi Primo?
That's all right. I am if you want to get a merch, it's at luigiprimo.bigcartel.com. And also at a Pro Wrestling Tees, you can get. I have an exclusive shirt on a Pro Wrestling Tees designed by a famous comic artist, my friend Rory Blank. He did the Ted Cruz's The Zodiac Killer shirt. I don't know if you remember.
Oh, Rachel, this is right up your alley.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah, good friend of mine. Makes absolutely insane looking shirts, and he drew a picture of me strangling the annoyed, and you can get that on a Pro Wrestling Tees. I also have some other greatest shirts on a Big Cartel, as well as some enamel pins and stickers and etc. You can follow me on @BestPizzaChef on Twitter if you want to see me talking about fighting people using an Italian accent on the internet. If you need to do that, that's there for you.
Incredible. Thank you, Luigi. I know people want to buy your merch. I was lucky enough to get one of your shirts before that last one sold out. So I'm checking the mailbox every day. Rachel, I know you've got some other questions about
I'm gonna
and
let's get a little more personal. First of all, I want to know, tell me about growing up in Italy and what your childhood was like and what you've taken. You've talked a little bit about it already, but really what you've taken from that to grow and develop yourself in the ring.
Well, I don't have a whole lot of memories from the older country. We immigrated pretty early on, but then I went back and forth to the older country. But I would say from my parents, I would learn what I took is always to work hard in your workouts and have a structure to workouts. That's something, my father, who I didn't know well, and I don't think was probably a very good guy. But one thing he did show me is you have to have a plan for what you would do. You think of, you're going to do a push-ups and a sit-ups and a dips. You structure it in a way that is illogical and that it makes a sense, and then you see it through with the consistency. And that consistency is what allowed me to train a day after a day, week after week during the pandemic, so that when everything opened up again, I was ready to go, wound up like a spring, like a pizza, a spring, and could make a pizza in a rest.
Your crowd work is absolutely incredible. Can you, how do you connect with them in such a natural, engaging way? It really feels like you grew up in the ring and the crowd loves you. We love you. That's why you're here.
Oh, well, thank you. I mean, I've been a performer, wrestling or some way or another for like at least 38 years since I was like a child. And I've had you learn about how people react, and you have to be able to plug into the crowd, but you also have to be able to just to kind of go out there and do your job. And because it's about emotions, all right? And emotions are unpredictable. So you can't always go out and say, we're going to have this magical moment. You go out of there and you do what you would do, and then you prepare yourself for if that moment hits. And if that moment hits, you got to size on it. And that's how you make that a connection with the audience.
Oh. Yeah, I mean, you do a fantastic job. I think Matt is actually the one who introduced you to me. So that's what our podcast does. We love to see new talent like yourself. We love to see how you're going to grow. And we're so grateful to have you while you're, Matt said you're peaking, but no, I mean, he took that back because
I'm so excited to see where your career is going.
Yeah.
Will shine. And if I can disclose to the audience now, we actually had you possibly booked a couple of weeks ago, and you sent us a note and said, something came up, I can't talk about it. And
now we know.
I see you getting kicked in the face by Ethan Page.
Yep, I had gotten a message on Monday, and then Tuesday I was on a flight to Albany, and then Wednesday I was on Dynamite. It was a good experience. Regardless of what happened, I had a great time, and I learned a lot. And I would love to go back, of course, but I'm here doing my thing as I always do, as I've done for years and years and years. And things like this are just a good blessing on a path for me that it never ends, and it never really has an end. It just has a kind of a different goals and a milestones.
Beautiful. We mentioned your match coming up on November 12th at the Houston Premier Arena. I gather based on some of your bookings that you're in the Austin and Texas area. That's a region with a long, deep wrestling history. Can you tell us about the wrestling scene in Texas?
Yeah, absolutely. We got Texas, these cities are so far apart that there's a lot of different little wrestling and niches. Here in Austin, we have Inspire AAD, which is a long-running federation here. We also have a Party World of Wrestling, which is arguably the largest kind of a comedy wrestling thing of its kind, definitely in the Southwest and maybe in the US. And then we also have a new one called the Infamous, which is from some of the guys who did Anarchy, which was sort of a local important wrestling federation in Austin, an important underground wrestling federation. And we just had an Uncanny Attractions move to Austin. So they're going to start doing shows here as well. And then there's yet another federation called the Slam Portal that also is doing sort of a comedy thing. And I'm actually their current Mega Wolf Mode champion. So November is going to be a very busy. And then we got San Antonio, we got a RCW, and we used to have a heavy metal wrestling, but that's a no more.
That sounds awesome.
Wow,
And
it's a real thriving scene there.
Yeah, and then we got to go up to a Dallas, and you got a VIP, you got a CWF, you got a Fort Worth, you got a Lucha Brutal, and then Houston, you've got Wrestle Rave, which is sort of a new kid on the block, and then you have a PWF, a local wrestling, yeah, you could just keep going on down the list.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I ask also because I live in Vermont, and for some reason the state laws or something won't allow wrestling to happen in the state. So I have to drive to New York to see an independent show in Whitehall. But we are in a wrestling desert up here in southern Canada.
Yeah, I wonder what happened. Maybe somebody had like a death match and it got bad press or something?
Do you have thoughts on death matches? Have you ever participated in one? It seems like a scary environment and something that I am not into, but Rachel absolutely is.
I mean, I was in a pizza death match with a Greg Iron. That was a great match for me.
I don't mean to laugh at a death match, but can you describe what a pizza death match is for our audience that might not be familiar?
Well, we didn't have a ring, and so and also we used a different pizza-oriented weapons like a pizza cutter and a pizza toppings and a different breads. At one point, we had a Taipei pizza death match where we wrapped our hands in a gauze, and I put my hands in a sauce and the toppings, and he put his hands in a nacho cheese and the pineapples, and we sat on a chair and punched each other in the face.
Wrestling is the greatest art form in the entire universe. I love it so much. Thank you for sharing that with me.
But yeah, death matches, it's something that I would do rarely. It's just something that some people are called to that, and I respect them for that. For me, it's really something I need to do only under a dire circumstances, only if it's a real somebody that I really, really don't like and need to hurt them, essentially.
Understand. Sometimes you have to do what you have to do. Luigi, we absolutely want to be respectful of your time. We know you have a busy schedule and folks to get to and pizza to make. Rachel, you want to bring us home with a last question?
One more question for you. And again, make sure we will link all your stuff below. We'll link where you can get t-shirts. We will link to your social media. Make sure you check out Luigi if you have not already, because if you are not impressed by the end of this interview, then you should go get a CAT scan because something's wrong with you. So what advice do you have for future wrestlers who are looking to establish a career like yourself?
Well, if somebody is trying to become a wrestler, I would consider not being a wrestler, first of all. Absolutely assure you that's what you want, because it probably isn't. But if you do, make sure to go to a good wrestling school and train. Keep yourself in a very good shape, and always be a student of a game and learn and be respectful, and don't be afraid to try new things.
Incredible advice, not just for wrestling, but for pizza toppings and life. Luigi Primo, thank you so much for making the time to speak with us today. I see that you have your pizza at hand, at the ready all the time. Lastly, are there any other pizza toppings or ingredients that you might consider adding to your arsenal? I know that the dough is a formidable weapon.
Yeah, sometimes, if the refs are not looking, I can get away with taking a little crushed red pepper packet out of my apron, and then, you blind them. But see, I got to be careful because I don't want to get on the mat and have somebody else later in a match to get it in their eyes other than my opponent. But I think that's something you're going to see it pretty soon.
Amazing. Luigi, thank you so much. I hope you continue to make phenomenal pizza. I hope you continue to do phenomenal wrestling, and wishing you nothing but success and great pizza in your life to come.
Okay, thank you very much. It was a great
Grazie, grazie, grazie.
Grazie mille.
I'm Luigi Primo.
Ciao.
Bye.